Yeah, it's one heart, one shot, now the future is yours. Go! I'm turning dreams into reality. In the lab with the...
All right. I think we're live. What's up, y'all? How you guys doing? Hope you're having an absolutely amazing evening. I am extremely excited to be interviewing a friend of mine and one of our students in the acceptance system, Bri. And for those of you that have recently started following Pre-PT Grind, or you have never caught one of these episodes before, one thing that we like to do is we like to interview students that we have coached who have gotten into PT school. And it's not for the reason you might think. So it might be, you might be thinking, oh, this is like a cool thing where they share how they found out they got accepted into PT school. That's part of it. But the real reason why we do this, it's called the Pre-PT Inspire series, is to inspire you. And we're going to talk about the good parts of each of these students' stories, as well as the tough parts of their story. And the reason why we talk about the tough parts is because that might be where you're at right now as a pre-PT. You might be, trying to apply for the first time or the second time or the third time, and you're doubting yourself because you're like, man, like nobody else is going through this. Nobody else has been rejected before. Nobody else seems to be struggling with their GPA or with the GRE. And so we bring people in here that are real, that have been exactly where you are. Because if you can relate with them and say, wow, like I was where Bri, like where I am right now is where Bri was 6 months ago, that might be the very thing that you need to inspire you to take some massive action and get one step closer to being a physical therapist. So super excited. Bri, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good.
Yo,
excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to share your story. Let's dive in. So Bri, tell the people about yourself and why you chose physical therapy before we get into the main gist of the tough portions of your experience before getting accepted into PT school. Tell us why you chose physical therapy to begin with.
So what led me down to becoming a PT, I always knew I was always interested in the health field, but I couldn't figure out where. I was oh, I kind of like nursing, but then I would skip around, and I liked veterinarian school for a while. I was looking into that. And so I kind of was always jumping around. I knew I wanted to help people, but I hadn't found exactly where to go. But then my junior year in high school, I've always been an athlete, have danced, swam, played soccer, basketball, done the whole thing. I was actually at an varsity tennis team, and I got a rotator cuff injury. And yeah, so that kind of led me into going into physical therapy. I kind of had to not play really competitively my junior year, and I still had to do a little bit of my senior year. So from there, that's when I actually learned about physical therapy. I started going. I kind of didn't realize what it was. And then it was really cool that when I went, there was a lot more student athletes that were soccer players. I think there was basketball, football. So it was kind of cool because it was all after school and all of us were athletes. So it was kind of cool. We were all talking about our injuries and bonding over it. And we would encourage each other through that time. It was really fun. And then I started realizing oh, wow, this is getting me better, exercising and them correcting my form and stuff. It's a form of medicine for me. And it was a form of medicine for the other student athletes. And I just it was a game changer. I was this is what I want to do. I want to work with children, student athletes to help them overcome their injuries. And it just kind of completely inspired me to go down this path.
I love it. I love it. And y'all, this is actually really cool for us because let me make sure that we're still good to go on Facebook. All right, perfect. So one of the most amazing things about this is because Bri has been on the PTA path, and we've gotten a lot of students that are hey, I'm considering doing PTA first. So this is kind of cool to get a different perspective because you fell in love with the profession, being an athlete in all of these different sports. And then of course, went down the PTA path before now, of course, getting into PT school. So let's dive into the next part of your story. What were your biggest struggles or fears as a student? What do you looking back now and saying, wow, these were the things that led me to doubt myself, because that's what other students right now that might be similar to you might be going through currently. So what were those experiences or things for you?
For me, there's like a few things that kind of popped up. I was a good student, but like for me, it was the self-doubt, since I didn't get into PT school my first time. So that was like the first like roadblock. And I had to like consider like what was my next step, you know, like, and I didn't know. I had pretty good grades, and that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, do I do the next step in redoing it and getting A's? I had a few years already as a PT tech, and I did a few other like observation hours in different settings, because I was working in a sports orthopedic clinic, and I did like pediatric, I did home health. So I kind of had to like reflect when I didn't get in, like, what could I do different? What, you know, and I kind of didn't know what to do different. And it's kind of interesting. I had the owner of the PT clinic, he actually was a PTA first. And then I had another coworker that had just gone into PTA school. So they kind of were like my little, I guess, angels that were kind of like, well, there's another option you can go down, you know, and they kind of talked to me about this option. And the owner of the PT clinic, he kind of is one of my biggest mentors. Even now, like he helped me, he wrote my letter of recommendation, and he kind of told me his story of, he first did PTA and actually went back and got his PT. And when he was in school though, he was like one of the first classes where it was just the bachelor's program. Yeah. So, and then he did like 30 years of working, and actually last year went back and got the transition to DPT. Yeah.
Wait, he worked for 30 years as a PTA, you said?
No, he worked 30 years like as a PT, but like he had a bachelor's degree. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like he was like a PTA for like 2 or 3 years before.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had so much experience, and he kind of was telling me about like that path, you know, like, you know, there's more options just than that straight like PT school. And he was telling me his story, and I was like, well, and a few of the other therapists that have taught me so much in the clinic were PTAs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were like showing me how to do like different kind of like techniques of like exercises, and like showing me different things. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And then he was saying too, like he kind of introduced me to like all the transitional programs. And I was like, and that was like my game changer. I was like, okay, I have like a route now. Like, even if it takes me longer, it's going to be my route, which it was. I mean, my PTA program, it was accelerated and it was hard because like the classes were like little mini masters. So like the smallest amount of time was like 14 days to 24 days.
Wow.
So yeah, like every class I was like, you had to buckle down. Like I remember my 2 neuro classes were 14 days. So yeah. So like every 2 days we had tests. So I had to like buckle down and really focus. And that's what like, I mean, all of us were like up late, we were doing study sessions, like, and I mean, that's what happened. And in that program, I think I became a better student. It gave me self-confidence. My professors too gave me that confidence that I was lacking. I know I spoke to you about this. I have dyslexia. So I always, growing up, I was embarrassed. Like I had to get called out of class and do like this like reading tutoring. And then I just, when I went into college, I kind of was like, I don't want no one to know. This is a fresh start. Like no one has to know I struggle reading. And so I kind of backplayed that. And one of the directors of the program, he kind of was like, this is who you are. You need to like accept it. It's never going to change. It's never going to, and it kind of, that hit hard. I was like, that's right. Like, I mean, it is a struggle. Like I've always had to work harder in school and stuff, but that's made me who I am. Like when I saw like a preview of like the pre-T grind, I was like, oh, that's me. I've always had to like grind to get through stuff, but it's made me like work harder. It's made me appreciate like making these dreams and goals like come true.
Wow, I'm so proud of you. And for those of you that are watching this who are non-traditional, or you might have gone a different path like PTA, and now you're trying to transition back in, or you feel like whether it's dyslexia or anything that you have ever felt is hindering you from being an absolutely amazing student? And Bri and I have talked about this a lot. Like prior to this, prior to us going live, we've talked about this plenty, because that was a lot of what created doubt. It was like, man, like, will I ever be able to basically keep up because of this thing? And you kept it hidden for a while, but being able to separate yourself from that being your identity was just a massive leap for you in saying, well, I'm not this. It's just what I kind of have. It's just a hurdle that I have to deal with. So I'm so proud of you. And for those of you that do have dyslexia, let this be a testament that you got it. Like you have everything you need to be an absolutely amazing, not only student as an undergrad or any graduate program you're in, but as a future, PT student. So Bri, I know you're going to kill it in PT school. And for you now, let's look back at your obstacles and now say, okay, there was a point in your journey where you decided that you wanted some help, like some non-traditional guidance, and it ended up being our program, the Accepted System. Yeah. What led you to make that switch and say, hey, like I need to find someone that has been on the path that I am on to help me get one step closer to getting that acceptance letter? What was it for you? What led you to search for it and take that leap?
For me, I was starting to like already look into like reapplying, and I actually found a program that was like an online program, kind of it was USC. So I kind of reached out to them to see like what do they want, and because I knew the transitional programs, like their timing for applications a little bit different, and for the one in Galveston, what I was really looking at applying to, I needed a little bit more, like I couldn't apply to like this coming up year because of like the work and everything. So I applied to USC, I just kind of got super excited and hyped, but then I got rejected one more time. And I was like, okay, like I have this experience now. I've gotten another step. Like, what am I missing? I need like guidance. I need help. Like I had people read my essays and stuff, but I felt like I could have polished them more, and like I talked to you about, like the GRE was always one of the hardest things I had to take because of the dyslexia, because of the timed reading and those crazy big words. And I was like, oh, sometimes I can't sound them out. And so, yeah, I was just starting to look at like tutoring and all this stuff online to like take that next step. And then like, I think I saw like a testimony kind of like this, like someone like saying, oh, this is one of the best things for me. And like, they helped me with like my confidence and like my, the GRE. And I was like, oh, that sounds like me. Like, I need that. So like, and at first I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like really real. This sounds like too good to be true. So I did click on it. And then I remember it was like the last, I think, summer, like free webinar with you guys, or like it was the live.
Like in July or August, I can't remember. It's a few months ago though. Yeah.
It was, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to try it. It's free. Like I'll figure out if it's like legit or not, because I just, like, I was like, free.
I'll see if these guys are faking it,
Yeah.
I love it.
Free is too good to be true. Like, I don't know. I just was like, I guess nervous and doubting still too, like, yeah. But then like, this has been probably the best choice I've ever made, like just because there's been like so many other people, like how you said, like there's so many people that think like this journey needs to be done alone, when that's not true. Like I was lost and I needed help. Like I didn't know at that point, I didn't know what road to go, like for that acceptance, to get, like that was my dream, but I needed a little help, like to polish my application, to make it better, make it stand out. And you guys helped me find like what I needed to do that, for that next step.
Wow. I'm so proud of you. Yeah, I hear that all the time. Man, I thought it was too good to be true. I've actually been told that people thought we were scam artists. Well, it's because, it's online, and online you never know, right? Until you actually, to take a leap forward. But I'm so proud of you. For those of y'all that are wondering, hey, like, how do I get that level of clarity, right? So for Bri, it was, with us in the Accepted System. But you're like, man, like I'm stuck right now as a student. I need help. where can I start? What I want you guys to do is, if you look at the bottom of this video or wherever you're listening to, go to www.acceptancenavigator.com. It's a 4-video series that Casey and I did. We sat in the hotel room and basically pumped the whole thing out saying, hey, these are the things that if someone is stuck as a student, if they can go through these 4 videos, it will give them clarity about where to begin and how they should act, like what their next steps should be to make sure that you have, the control and confidence and clarity to apply and really just put yourself in a great position to get into PT school. So if you're looking for that, go to acceptancenavigator.com. If you feel lost, if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're in any one of the areas that Bri was talking about, I would say go do that like 2 nights. Do that 2 nights, and then it gives you an option at the end to apply to work with us and help, have us help you, get one step closer to getting into PT school. So if that's what you're looking for, y'all can go there. But Bri, I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to switch to the day you got accepted into PT school. Is that cool? Like, because after all of that, you were like, man, okay, I want to do physical therapy. All right, I'm going to be a PTA, but I still want to be a physical therapist, right? I've already applied 2 other cycles and not gotten in. And now the day you got your acceptance letter comes. Tell us about that day so that we can celebrate with you. And for those of y'all that are watching live or on replay, show Bri some love. Celebrate her the way you want to be celebrated when you get your acceptance letter. But how did that day go? What were your emotions? What were you feeling? Tell us about it.
Okay, well, it's a funny story. I don't think I've told you like the full story. So I was
Tell it to me right now.
I was actually first at work, and I got a call, and I had to I don't know if anyone knows, I'm a pediatric PTA. So I see a wide range. I believe it was like my first treatment. I had a 2-year-old. So, and it was like their first time, and 2-year-olds are like a lot of hard work, especially the first treatment. They're all over the place, and it's very rewarding working with kids, but I'm like way more exhausted than I ever was at the sports clinic when I was a PTA. It just requires a lot more effort. So I actually didn't have my phone with me, because then like all the little kids know, like they'll log on your phone, they get all distracted. So I got a call, but I didn't even realize they had called. And yeah, so like by the time I got out of work, it was on silent, and like I saw that that I had like a call from one of the Dr. Wilhelm, and he was like, "Oh, hi Brianna," like super mellow, like, "I just wanted to talk to you about something. Please feel free to call me back when you get a chance. Just whenever you're free. And if I can't talk to you, I'll call you back tomorrow." I called him back as soon as I heard that, but it was already super late, like, because I'm an hour behind their time, because it's in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So it was for Tufts University. And like I called, and I was like, and I left a message and stuff, and oh my God, I was in panic. I went home and talked to my boyfriend. I was like, I don't know. He didn't tell me what it was about. I think like something had happened with my application. I'm missing something, like freaking out. And I didn't even like sleep that well, like just super. I had to wait till like the next day at like 9 a.m. Like he was like, oh, he called me back, and he was like, I realized like you were Texas and you're an hour behind. Like, I just wanted to give you that extra time. He's like, I hope you weren't too nervous. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was, like, I didn't know what to do. And he was like laughing, and he was like, yeah, I had to leave a few messages a few times to like students. He said, I need to figure out what to say. He said, so they're not nervous. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even care. Like, I was just like on cloud like 9. I was like super excited. Like at first, I was super nervous, but then when he was like, congratulations, you've like been accepted, I was like, yeah. So then I went down like the list of calling like family members, and like my mom screamed and started crying. My brother and his wife were like, yeah, we knew you would. And just like that whole day was just, I had to like
amazing.
Make sure, because then the next day, then like I got the email, and I was like, oh my gosh, this wasn't a dream. It's for real, And so it's been amazing ever since.
Man, yeah, like if you get the phone call, but you don't have an email, you might end up waking up the next morning thinking, wait a minute, did that phone call happen? Like, is this real?
Yeah.
But man, well, let me ask one more question. So obviously once it hit and your nervousness kind of subsided, what were some of the first thoughts that you had? Because now you're kind of reflecting on the moments where you doubted yourself, right? Like, what were some of the thoughts that came to your mind, you know, reflecting back on the past 2 cycles that things had not gone the way you wanted them to?
Just that everything works out, like everything's that, you know, like all my hard work had finally paid off. And that, like you and Casey have both said, you know, stuff happens for a reason. And like you've talked about like how some schools might not be for you. And I think like right away too, when I told you, when I did like the webinar with this one, I think I told you and Casey, like, this is my school. Like, I just feel it, like, this is my number one. I want to like do my best in this school, like for the interview and all that. And I mean, it was like my path, I feel like. And like even reaching out to the professors and everyone just been so like including, and it just has been like an amazing vibe. So I mean, all of my hard work paid off, you know, like sometimes timing is everything. While my path wasn't like that straight path, I feel like I have become a better student. I have like gained that confidence, you know, like all of those obstacles has made me the better person I am today, which will make me be the better therapist, you know, be a better coworker, be a better student to help my other classmates. You know, it's all a great like circle now that I feel like I'm able to do more too in this profession.
Man, I love it. And it's the reason why I even like asking that question is for those of y'all that are watching live or watching this on replay, one of the hardest things is when you're in the thick of things not going the way you want them to go, right? Bri, you've said this several times tonight. You were like, the path wasn't exactly a straight path. It was kind of like a wavy, you know, route that was different from what I would have loved it to be from the beginning, right? But then think about it, like how many times, just take a moment and process, like how many times did you almost even entertain the thought of not pursuing physical therapy anymore, right? Like, or better yet, how many times would it have been easy to quit?
Yeah.
You had quite a few times where you could have easily been like, yeah, you know what, this ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
This isn't worth it. You know, maybe I'm fooling myself. Maybe this, maybe that. You could have said that your dyslexia was going to hold you back from, you know, getting into physical therapy school. And all it took was you just quitting before that acceptance letter, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is because like that's the only thing that can stop anyone from getting into PT school.
Yeah.
And for the students right now that are listening to this saying, man, I'm pretty close to pulling the plug. Just go back to why you chose this profession. If this is the profession you've been called to, then keep taking one step forward. Like for Bri, it was 2 cycles that she had to wait for this. But she kept pushing. She kept putting herself around people that believed in her. And she had mentors that believed in her, someone else that had actually gone down a similar path to her. And that's what it took for her to keep pushing herself so that she could get to that day. And when she was able to look back and say, wow, like my path was not the straightest path, she's that much more grateful for it, right? And so every single one of you has everything you need to become a physical therapist. Just don't quit. Like, that's my point. Like, do not quit, y'all. Like if you're quitting, then you've basically said, okay, like I'm not getting in, period. But that's a decision. So keep fighting, keep going. And for Bri, our final question is what are your words of wisdom after having, you know, gone through your experiences so far, getting accepted into PT school? What is one piece of advice that you would give to someone that is where you were maybe a year ago?
I feel like, I mean, kind of going back to like how my path wasn't straight. I mean, don't be scared to like, you know, look at maybe like volunteering in a different type of like physical therapy, like clinic, or, you know, getting your feet wet and other things in this profession, because there, I mean, it's not just like pediatrics, it's not just sports, you know, working. I mean, me working as a pediatric, I mean, it entails everything, you know, like I have babies to like, you know, student athletes, and I see them like back to back. So I have to be creative. So, I mean, then that now just kind of makes me feel like I can go back to like a sports clinic place where I can, you know, have more of like a regiment where like, I mean, pediatric, it's some days the kids don't even want to do, like today was like a hard day. I mean, after Thanksgiving, none of the kids wanted to be there. I had to be like super like energetic and be like, let's do jumping jacks, or, you know, like, let's do animal crawls, and can you beat me? I bet you can't, you know, so you have to kind of like push yourself sometimes. And that's what you have to do with the like pediatrics. I think doing this path isn't easy. Like, it's very competitive, and it's not always going to be like, kind of how I said, an easy straight road. Like, you know, some people might have that, but then they're going through other obstacles too, you know, in their own way. So I think everyone just needs to like take a breath and just realize, like, get their feet wet in other areas of this field too. Cause I mean, it's a beautiful field. Every day I love working with my kids, even if they're giving me like the hardest time, like they always will like hug me and say, bye, Miss Brianna. And that just like lights up my day, you know, cause it's hard, but I mean, it's always worth it. I don't feel like it's always work either. Like, while it is hard, I love what I do. And while I knew this was hard, I knew this was my path. And I feel like a lot of people need to realize that too. Like, just because it's hard, like, you need to like grind, like, you know, that this is what, you know, pre-PT grind, like you do have to grind in this, and it's hard, but it's going to be like so much worth it once you like get your feet wet and, you know, kind of push yourself. Like, doubt is scary, but you need to kind of push yourself too, to make it in this field. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I actually said it like this in a video recently. I said, don't confuse hard for impossible.
Yeah.
So for those of y'all watching live right now, can y'all put that in the comments? Don't confuse hard for impossible. I think what tends to happen, Bree, is exactly what you just said. Like, things get difficult, things go in a direction that we did not plan, and we're like, oh my goodness, this must mean that I'm not meant to be a physical therapist. This must mean that I should, you know, have a plan B. I should find something else. But we make that confusion so frequently. Do not confuse hard for impossible. Listen, being a pre-PT is hard. Being a physical therapy student is hard. You know, getting into physical therapy school is hard. It's fine, but it does not make it impossible. I want you guys to start combining hard and possible, because if you can combine the two of them, then exactly what Bree said is what will take place. Now you'll be able to say, listen, my path might be difficult, but I know it's possible. I know that other people like me have been there. I know that other people like me have done it. I know that other people that are facing the same struggles or face the same struggles I'm going through right now have been able to get themselves into PT school. So I need to be able to find that level of direction or clarity that they had and be willing to put in the work for this thing called physical therapy. Because for the students that just feel like, hey, I'm just gonna, you know, figure it out, and listen, there's a reason why it's, you know, you're not getting into PT school, right? But do not confuse hard for impossible, because it's extremely possible. You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to last the curve. Sometimes it might take a cycle or two. And if you are stuck, get direction, get help. Like, don't be afraid to ask for help. And we gave you a good first next step is the acceptance. It's www.acceptancenavigator.com. Go there. We will take care of you there already. But please do not confuse hard for impossible. So I love that. I love that, because it's work, but it's worth it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Getting that acceptance, you know, call or letter, like, it completely changes your day. Like, I'm still, when I think about it, like, it still makes me excited. Like, I still go to like that cloud, you know, so it's worth it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, Bree, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. Thank you for serving the people with your story tonight. For those y'all that, for people that might want to reach out to you, is there a way that they can maybe message you if someone listens to this as a podcast or on Facebook and is like, hey, I would love to ask Bree a few more questions about her experience. Is there a way that you would prefer people to reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, they can reach out through Facebook. I don't know. I know I am on, I think, the accepted system. So they can
tell them how to spell your name on Facebook so that they can find you.
Bri, B-R-I, and then Lievanos. That's my last name. L-I-E-V as in Victor, A-N-O-S.
I love that. V as in Victor. Todd had to tell everybody. N as in Nancy. You know, G. That's how I have to do my last name every time. But thank you so much. So if you guys want to reach out to Bree, message her on Facebook, reach out to her, tell her, hey, I listened to your interview and I have a few questions. But don't quit, y'all. Do not confuse hard for impossible, because it is so very possible. And it's a sweet feeling when you finally get your acceptance letter, because it's one step closer towards your dream of becoming a physical therapist. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. Have an amazing rest of your evening. Bri, thank you so much once again. And for those of y'all listening, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.